Good morning and welcome to MCC Toronto. We hope you'll experience God's presence and God's peace. We welcome those of you in the sanctuary this morning and those of you worshiping around the world through the internet. Again, welcome to our service. And if this is your first time worshiping with us, we invite you for coffee and refreshments following the service in the social hall directly behind us. When you came in, you received one of our many wonderful inserts. And it's a blue connection card, and we ask everyone every week to complete the card and drop it in the offering plate. And it lets us know that you're here, gives us your contact information, and if you check off the little box on the bottom, then you'll receive our weekly email newsletter, which is the main way we communicate with each other. We ask you to keep in prayer one of our deacons, Eileen Dulasong, received word last night that her mom and dad, who were traveling in the Philippines to visit relatives, that her dad died suddenly. And so Eileen is the oldest in the family, and she's trying to make all the arrangements from here and get ready to get to the Philippines where the service will be. So if you could please keep Eileen and her mom and family in your prayers, that would be appreciated. In one of your inserts is this adult spiritual education list of courses that are being offered for the fall quarter of courses. There are many wonderful courses there: world religions, creating a life that matters, Bible and homosexuality, membership class, progressive Christianity, etc. So we'd like for you to take a look at this, and there are tables in the social hall where you can chat with folks, you can sign up if you want, you can ask questions about the courses. But if you could take note of that, that would be appreciated. This Saturday, we're having the final of our congregational forums on the vision for our church going forward. And so we encourage you to look at the insert about that. And it tells you a bit about the forum, the kind of conversations that will occur at the forum. And you can register by completing this and drop it in the offering plate. That would be appreciated if you could spend some time with us on this Saturday from 10 until 3. Next Sunday, a number of things happening that are exciting. We're going to have the moderator, which is the leader, the head of our denomination, the Reverend Nancy Wilson, will be here. And Nancy will be preaching at all 3 services next Sunday. She's here because there's a meeting of the International Task Force of our denomination here at MCC Toronto. And that's a group of folks from around the world who are talking about the ministry of MCC in the world. And so Nancy's coming up for that meeting and will be preaching on this Sunday. Also, on next Sunday evening, we're going to be installing 4 new deacons into our church. And that's a very special moment in the life of a church. And so what we want to say to you 11 o'clock, folks, is we'd like for you to consider coming back next Sunday night and being part of that service and witnessing the installation of our 4 new deacons. So come in the morning if you want, and then come back in the evening next Sunday night and witness the installation of our new deacons. On October the 23rd, we're hosting our annual Bridges for Hope and Freedom event. That's a Sunday afternoon high tea at the Arcadian Court. So it's a wonderful location, a wonderful event. And it's a combination of purposes. It's a fundraiser. There is no charge. We don't charge per ticket or anything. We invite people to come, and at the end of the day, we make a pitch. And if they make a donation, great, no matter how small, how large, totally up to them, no charge. But it is a fundraising event. But mainly the event is meant to present MCC to folks who may never have come to the church or may have come once or twice to the church. And so what we need you to do, we need your help. We'd like for you to consider being a table captain, and if you're a full table captain, that's 9 friends that you would bring. Again, you tell them it's a fundraising event, but there's no minimum, no maximum, and come to the event. We guarantee you that the speeches, the video, the music will inspire them, and they will love the afternoon. Or you could be a half a table captain. If you want to bring 4 friends, we'll make that work for you as well. Or if you would just like to come by yourself and be a part of the event, then you could become what we call one of our donor guests who come to the event. And any of those options, we'd love to have your help. So if you could take your connection card today and on the back of it write table captain, half table captain, donor guest, whichever option you'd like, then we'll begin the conversation, explain things to you. We can give you invitations to send your friends via the email, etc. So we'd love to have your help to fill up the room and have a great afternoon for our church. Okay. I published the banns of marriage between Corey Paget and Joseph Jameson. If any of you know any legal cause why these two persons should not be joined together in holy matrimony, you are now to declare it. Hearing no objections, this is the third time of asking, and that wedding will proceed. And now we have our 1-minute celebrations, opportunities for you to name in 3 or 4 words, something you want to celebrate. Now, I need to be clear, this is not commercial time. This is not the time you advertise an event. Some of you, I won't look at anyone in particular, this is meant to be something that you're celebrating. We want you to keep it to 3 or 4 words, and we ask you to hold your applause until the end so we can treat everybody equally.
My husband and I are celebrating our 40th wedding anniversary today.
And we're going to do a blessing in just a minute.
Fabulous dance last night.
Got married last weekend.
My teenage daughter recently moved home after a 2-year hiatus.
Sister-in-law visiting from Montreal.
Balcony folks. Okay, main floor, celebrations. What color? Thank you. Steph? Let's join together to celebrate all the folks who are celebrating today. As is our custom, when there's a significant anniversary, we celebrate a blessing of the anniversary. So I'm going to invite Lou and Jan Lawrence to come forward for a blessing of their 40th anniversary. Let's pray. God, we thank you for special people in our lives. We thank you for the opportunity to be there for each other and with each other through the challenges and through the joys of life. And God, we ask your blessing on this couple. We thank you for their love for each other, and we ask your blessing for many more wonderful years together. In your many names we pray. Amen. Amen. God bless. Amen. We have a variety of programs in our church that both serve the congregation and increasingly serving a broader community. And now you're going to hear about one of those programs.
My name is Cindy Cowan, and I'm a member of the Lesbians with Cancer support group. The group is an initiative that began 7 years ago in response to a lack of support available for lesbians dealing with cancer. The group is a partnership between MCC Toronto and Wellspring. Wellspring is a network of community-based centers that offer programs providing support and education to cancer patients and their families. I was diagnosed with late-stage ovarian cancer in January of 2010, and I found the Lesbians with Cancer support group after finishing round 1 of treatment. I'm happy to be here today to briefly talk about the group. It's really difficult for me to put into words what this group has and continues to mean to me and my family. The group has sustained me through the celebration of the end of treatment 1, surgery, reoccurrence, advancing disease, genetic testing for myself and my family, and very recently now, stable disease. The women who come to the group are now an important part of my community. They are an exceptional band of sisters. We share similar and different experiences and feelings. We listen, talk, cry, laugh, and help each other as we each live with cancer and its many impacts on us and the people that we love. I'm not a member of MCC Toronto, and my partner is Buddhist. The group is non-denominational and is open to all lesbian women with a cancer diagnosis. It is a monthly facilitated group, so you can come whenever you want or whenever you need. While partners are welcome to join, your partner doesn't have to attend, or you don't have to have a partner at all. I attend on my own sometimes, and sometimes with my partner Rishika. The group has also become important for her. Sometimes I joke that it's easier for me when I go on my own, as she doesn't have the opportunity to discuss just how difficult I am to deal with. Me, not the cancer. The group meets on the first Thursday of every month from 7 to 9 p.m. at Wellspring Odette Centre, which is at Wellesley and Church Street. You can find more details in today's Sunday News or online at Wellspring and MCC Toronto websites. A few times a year, the group also has speakers come to speak on topics of interest to group members. At our next meeting on October 6th, Michelle Landsberg, an award-winning Canadian writer, social activist, and feminist, will be coming to join the group, and we'll be talking together about women and cancer. If you're a lesbian with a cancer diagnosis, we hope the group might be helpful for you. And if you know lesbians in your communities living with cancer, please help us reach out and spread the word about this important resource. I started off by saying that it's hard for me to put into words what this group has meant to me, but I want to share with you a quote that you may have heard. It's for all of my sisters who have come to the group, who have struggled and cared for each other. A friend is someone who knows the song in your heart and can sing it back to you when you've forgotten the words. Thank you.
Introduce yourselves, extend a hand of friendship.
Hi, Laura. O Spirit, who calls us home, help us welcome others as you welcome us.
Safely pray. Caring God, we thank you for today. We thank you for right now. We thank you for this amazing space where we come together as a group, come to worship, to be with each other, to learn more. And we pray that as we've come, and as we sing, and as we hear, that we will leave this place to make your world a better place to be in all of your many names. Amen.
Weekend we presented some of our annual awards and medallions, and today we're going to continue in presenting one of our two Vision Alive awards. The Vision Alive award is given to people who help to take a piece of the vision of this church and make it happen, either through a donation that they make or through their volunteerism or help in some way to make it come true. And today we're giving the Vision Alive award to two men who received one of those infamous phone calls from Brent. It's a situation where we had received word that there was a young man in a country who was at risk, and that we needed to find an organization that would sponsor him as a refugee. And additionally, in this case, the young man was underage and therefore needed some legal guardians. And this was the first time that this was allowed, for a young person to come into the country as a refugee without their parents' support or encouragement or endorsement, but were coming on their own. And so the need for the guardians. So I called up David and Mark, and first of all, I called Bev Wybrow, the chair of the board, and said, we've got this opportunity to sponsor a young man, and we have to give an answer in 24 hours. So Bev connected with the board and got a yes, and very quickly that was taken care of. And then I said to David and Mark, we've got this young guy coming into the country. He's 17 and a half years old. We need some legal guardians. And you have 48 hours. Not 9 months to become parents. You have 48 hours. And they talked and quickly got back and said yes, and had the support of both of their families, their extended families. And we were able then to connect with the proper authorities. Paperwork was done very quickly. And on Thursday, I think it was a Thursday of Pride Week, 2 years ago, we went to the airport. In hiding, afraid for his life. Gets on a plane, arrives in Toronto, Pride Week. We saw him, he walked down, and David and Mark and myself and Brian and an interpreter were there, and we were chatting through the interpreter, and then finally he looks at all of us and he says, the interpreter, are they gay? And I pointed to David and Mark, and very gay, all of us, yes. And his name is safe, and he's been safe since he's arrived here. And really thank you, David and Mark, for opening your home and being so generous and welcoming this young man into your life. And I know both of you would say that you've been as blessed by being able to host him. He's not here this morning because he wants to study for his courses, and he wants to get 90s this year, and he's doing very well in his English as a second language and now his academics. And so you've created a wonderful home for him, and we thank you for helping us to make this part of our vision come true. Vision Alive Award, David Bronskill and Mark Dilworth. Please come forward. And it is our intention through our refugee program to sponsor more folks. And we thank you, particularly those of you who make regular contributions to support this work in the church. We also present 10-year pins and 25-year pins. And today at the 9 o'clock service, we presented a 10-year pin for 10 years of membership in our church to Jennifer Alexander. And we presented a 25-year pin for membership in our church to Don Sinclair. And now we're going to present three more 25-year pins and invite them to come forward. Mark Warren. Thank you. Michael Ball. And Catherine McDermott. Yay. And now we'll continue with our worship.
See the
As we gather our hearts and minds together in community prayer, you're invited to name persons or circumstances as your prayer requests out loud. Gracious God, your abundance surrounds us and sustains us. We thank you for gifts of friendship and new beginnings, for life as it unfolds, and new opportunities for growth. God of grace, we know you hear our prayers. Spirit of hope, in our lives and in our world there are many troubled by concerns. Some face the uncertainty and pain of illness. Some wrestle with anxiety and fear about work, about relationships, and about themselves. We pray that your healing love may touch these lives. Prayers of the congregation on the connection cards. God of hope, we know you hear our prayers. Spirit of compassion, be with us as we face losses in our lives. Where there is disappointment, lead us to joy. Where there is grief, fill us with your peace. Where there is death, help us to say goodbye for now and not forever. We pray for Nancy Sherwin's mother, Eileen Dallasong's father, for the family and friends of Vern Holland. God of compassion, we know you hear our prayers. Breath of the universe, you have created us for joy. Open our minds to the gracious promptings of your Spirit. Increase our trust and guide our hearts in the ways of truth. God of many names, you transform us by grace and renew us in peace.
Hear this reading. Contemporary North Americans are nomads, what Catholic writer Henry Nouwen once called a world of strangers, estranged from their own past, culture, and country, from their neighbors, friends, and family, from their deepest self and their God. In such a world of strangers where fear, anger, and hostility build walls between people and chip away at the communal soulfulness, Nouwen proposed, if there is any concept worth restoring in its original depth and evocative hospitality, is the creation of free space where strangers become friends. Hospitality is not to change people, but to offer them space where change can take place.
Spirit, one with God, guide us into joy and light. Alleluia, alleluia, alleluia.
Then Jesus said, I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me water. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me in. These are sacred readings. May they comfort us and inspire us and challenge us. Thanks be to God. A few years ago, there was a very powerful movie out called Pursuit of Happiness. How many folks saw that movie? I enjoyed the movie, but I had a real problem with the title and what the title represented in the movie, because the movie was Pursuit of Happiness. It was 95% pursuing it and 5% finding it. And you had to wait through and hang in to be able to get to the spot of happiness at the end. I hope my sermon isn't like that this morning. I hope you don't have to wade through the kind of dire situation that I'm painting at the beginning of the sermon to be able to get to the good news later on in the sermon. This past week, Reverend Dina Dudley and myself and the Reverend Don Eastman from this church, 3 of us went to a conference in Florida. It was a clergy conference of our denomination, and as wonderful it is to get together with other clergy and renew friendships. The main thing that attracted us to this conference was the speaker, Diana Butler Bast. That name may sound familiar to you if you've been here the last 2 or 3 weeks, because the sermon series beginning today for the next 10 weeks and the small groups that we're forming around the sermon series are based on her book, Christianity for the Rest of Us. Butler Bast is a renowned author, has written numerous books. She is an expert in trends in North America, both the U.S. and Canada. She had lots of Canadian statistics, which was very helpful and appreciated. And she said that in North America today, we're experiencing the most dramatic decline in people's attachment to religion ever measured since the beginning of their measurement time. The most dramatic decline in people's attachment to religion ever in North America. She gave us a bunch of statistics, and even though 92% of the population still say they believe in God or a universal spirit or a higher power, for people under 30, only 44% say they believe in God. In terms of church attendance in the U.S., only 21% of the population attend a church, a synagogue, a mosque, or a temple. And in Canada, it's only 15% of the population. Only 25% of people in North America have confidence in religious institutions. And only 50% respect or trust clergy. Now, before you think that's a much higher than the 25%, over the last decade, the amount of respect for clergy has declined so much that only one other group of all of the groups tested declined more, and that was bankers. And a very interesting statistic that, and I don't know how they got this one, but in Canada, if you went into a bar and you were trying to pick up a date, if you told them that you were religious as opposed to spiritual, if you said that you were religious, you'd be 50% less likely to find a date than if you told them you were spiritual. So for all of you single people, take note. Now, this shift that's taking place is very interesting because the percentage of the population that say they're only spiritual, don't want any of this religious stuff, has not changed. It's remained 30% of the population. And the percentage of the population who said they're neither spiritual nor religious has not changed. Still 9% of the population, 10 years ago and now. What's shifted dramatically is that people are shifting away from being religious only and not wanting anything to do with this spiritual woo-woo stuff. They're shifting away from that belief, from 54% down to 9% in 10 years. And they're instead shifting to saying that they are both spiritual and religious. That percent has gone from 6% to 48% of the population. Now, when people talk about spirituality and when they talk about religion, it's helpful to hear what they say about them, what they describe them as being. When they talk about spirituality, people talk about individual. They talk about personal. They talk about mystical experiences. The individual personal experience. When they talk about religion at its best, they talk about community and tradition. At its worst, they say it's dogma and rules. They're rejecting dogma and rules, and what they're saying is they want this individual, personal, mystical experience, and they want community, and they want tradition. Now, this correlates very strongly with the hundreds of emails that we've received over the last couple of weeks since Jack's funeral. People across Canada saying that they want both the personal, meaningful spirituality, and they're trying to find community, they're trying to find tradition, they're trying to find a church where they can experience it. Another set of statistics that she shared with us, they did a survey of young people from the ages of 16 to 29 outside the church. 16 to 29 outside the church. And they asked them, what words come to mind when you think of the word Christian? Here are the words. For 91% of those young people, the first word that came to mind when they thought of Christian, anti-homosexual. 91%. 87%, the next word, when they think of Christian, judgmental. 85% hypocritical. 75% too political. 72% out of touch with the reality. 68% boring. You have to go down the list beyond the top 6 words to begin to find any positive word association with Christianity. What would Jesus say about the movement he started if young people thought of it as anti-homosexual, judgmental, hypocritical, boring, irrelevant, etc.? Interestingly enough, they also found that 75% of the population at large say that other religions are true paths to God. 75%. And 70% say that other religions than mine can lead people to heaven. So folks are open to different religious traditions and experiences, but they're very skeptical about whether Christianity can be a place where they can find it. So in the midst of this, we have Diana Butler Bast's book, Christianity for the Rest of Us. She talks about a kind of Christianity that's between fundamentalism, and she says the problem in North America is that fundamentalism has hijacked the Christian church and has become the only expression that people are aware of. And so, is there a Christianity for the rest of us between fundamentalism and skepticism? And she says yes. She says the challenge is that in society at large there's a huge shift that's been going on since the 1950s. And that shift is away from neighborhood churches, where people are raised in a small community, and around them there's a neighborhood church that all of the folks in the area go to, and you have a lot of diversity in terms of the different neighbors that come there and what they believe and don't believe, but everybody goes to the neighborhood church. That people are moving away from that dramatically, either by moving out of town, changing jobs, changing countries, etc. And at the same time, there's a decline in authority of the church. When people wanted to decide what to do, what was right, they listened to the church and believed the church, and the church had some authority. And that authority no longer holds, and so now people are searching. How do I make the right decision? What would God want me to do? They're trying to figure out how to make choices in their lives. And what Butler Bast did was, she said, in the midst of all of this decline, she kept hearing about a church over there and a church over there that was growing. Mainline churches, not fundamentalist mega churches, but mainline churches. And so she wanted to study what's going on in those individual churches that are growing against the trend. And as she went around and studied a number of them, she started seeing some patterns. And I say this morning because it is a dire situation. I think that Christianity at its best is a wonderful gift to society. In those churches, she said, that people were finding meaning through ancient traditions. Traditions were still valued. Through working on social justice. Through spiritual practices in those churches. Through innovative worship. Through being open and welcoming. Through being generous. Through being intellectual. These were churches where people could question. And where people found coherent faith that made sense to them. And so she studied those churches, and that's where the book Christianity for the Rest of Us comes from. And this dilemma says to me two things. That people need to experience another kind of Christianity. I believe that many of you experience another kind of Christianity in this place. And we need to make sure that this alternative is presented to more and more folks who are believing those descriptive words that young people used to describe Christianity. People want an authentic spiritual experience. And they want community and tradition together. Spirituality and religion. When they talk about that, they use language like homecoming, coming home. They use language like returning in their faith stories. And you will hear a powerful example of that in a few minutes. This morning at the 9 o'clock service, I skipped the next line in my sermon because I was afraid that the congregation would be mad at me, and I chickened out. And then when I heard the anthem, the solo for the offering this morning, I thought, okay, that's preaching to me too, and I better not chicken out. And so what I was going to say, and then eventually said then, and is I think this phrase, my house shall be a house of prayer for all people, been there since we first moved into this building. We put it up in 1991. And I think that message has been powerful for us and guiding us, and I think it's time to change it. And I want to take it down, and I simply want to put up, welcome home. I want to make sure that every person who comes into this building, whether it's a funeral or a wedding or a concert or church, before a word is spoken, they look to the front and they say, welcome home. People are looking and searching for that kind of spiritual home. And what Butler Bast found was that in those churches, one of the key elements was that those churches were teaching the members in the pew spiritual practices. So the people weren't just coming to church and getting a high for the week and then coming back to get their high for the next week. They weren't just coming to church to be entertained. They were being transformed in those places. Willow Creek, the largest Christian church, I believe, in North America, averages 25,000 people on a weekend. Growing and growing and growing. They did a study of their congregation, and they were shocked to find out that even though they were growing in numbers, the people in the pew were not getting what they needed to experience personal transformation and to be able to cope with life. The answer is spiritual practices. And spiritual practices are meant to help you to go deeper and deeper and deeper in your relationship with God or the holy, and to help you to deepen your relationship with other people. So if you want to become more spiritual, if you want to experience more of this mysticism, if you want to grow in your relationship with the holy, the answer is not just sitting in the pew. The answer is practicing spiritual practices. That Christianity is not just a one-time experience as defined by the fundamentalists. Christianity is a lifetime journey of practicing our faith. So over the next 10 weeks, we're going to talk about each week about a different spiritual practice. And she's very clear. These spiritual practices are not about a church program. It's about something that you practice every day in your life that will take you deeper to God and closer to others. It's what you practice. And the first that she mentions, and intentionally so, is hospitality. Welcoming strangers into community. Or another definition by Henry Nouwen, and I love Henry Nouwen, revered, respected, a Canadian. And in his last book before he died, he came out as a gay man. And in Henry Nouwen's book, he talks about hospitality is creating free space where strangers become friends. And so how do you, every single day of your life, practice radical hospitality? How do you practice creating free space where strangers can become friends? If it is true that we've become perpetual wanderers, moving away from our hometown and our families, even our countries, and our faith, if we're perpetual wanderers, then we are all looking for a place where everyone knows my name. Friendships, hospitality. And she emphasizes that hospitality is a good in and of itself. It's not a recruitment strategy. You're not being hospitable so we can get more members in the church. It is a practice, a spiritual practice that you practice at home and at work and on the subway and in traffic and in church. It is also not meant to be a way for you to get a husband or a wife. You're not just to be nice to the cute person across the room. In fact, I think she would say that's a violation of hospitality. Sometimes you're the host, sometimes you're the guest. In a world where too much hate-filled extremism is at play, hospitality opens the way to practice peace and doing something that's tangible that can help you to change the world from the bottom up. It's an ancient practice of most of the world's religions. And in every congregation that she studied that were being revitalized, hospitality was a key practice of members of the church. Yeah, we do it formally, but how are you going to do it as a regular practice? In your social groups, where you work, how do you welcome the new employee, the new Canadian? Neighbors, and in your pew, how do you introduce yourself and welcome the people around you? If you want to go deeper in your relationship with God, if you want to feel stronger and more able to handle life, and if you want to develop your relationships with others, The answer is spiritual practices. And the place to start is radical hospitality. Amen.
Jesus showed us a different way to a newer relationship with God, freeing us from whatever hinders us, reconciling us with God, with each other, and with ourselves. Now we can pray. God, your grace liberates us from the past, frees us from sadness, releases us from guilt. Your love inspires us to sing a new song as we embrace the beauty within us, in others, and in you. We open our hearts again to the renewal, the forgiveness, and the freedom you offer. Hear the welcoming news. God saying to us, "Behold, I make all things new." In every moment, know that you are loved and therefore forgiven. Free in the name of God who created you, God who dwells within you, and God who goes with you always. Amen. At this time, you're invited forward. Prayer for healing, for yourself or for someone else.
lose myself, makes me wanna lose myself in your arms. There's something in your voice makes my heart beat fast. Hope this feeling lasts the rest of my life. If you knew how lonely my life has been and how long I've felt so alone, and just how I wanted someone to come along and change my world the way you've done. Feels like home to me. Feels like home to me. Feels like I'm all the way back where I come from. Feels like home to me. Feels like home to me. Feels like I'm already back where I belong. The window breaks down a long dark street, and a siren wails in the night. But I'm alright, 'cause I have you here with me. I can almost see through the dark there is light. If you knew how much this moment means to me, how long I've waited for your touch. If you knew how happy you are making me, I never thought I'd love anyone so much. Feels like home to me. Feels like home to me. Feels like I'm all the way back where I come from. Feels like home to me. Feels like home to me. Feels like I'm already back where I belong. Feels like we're already back where we belong. Feels like home. Feels like you're already back right here where you belong.
I I'm able to express in the next few seconds what my emotions are feeling. On the one side, it feels like home to me. When we ask new people, what's your first experience of MCC Toronto? A significant majority say, from the moment I walked in, it felt like I was home. And then we have those emails. And I have to tell you folks, as I'm working my way through them, they're haunting me. Because all over Canada, people are searching for home. They got a glimpse of it by watching a funeral. And they want more of it. And they're saying, where do we find it? And I don't know the answer to that. It feels like home. And I want home. Where can I be at home? May we be the kind of church where we create safe space without judgment that welcomes people, and where we work on healing each other together, transforming ourselves, going deeper in our relationship with God and closer to each other. We invite the ushers to come and receive our offerings and our connection cards. Commission these gifts together. God, we offer you these gifts out of our abundance to your work in this community and from this community. Your love frees us to be generous with each other and inspires us to action as we build bridges in this place and from this place to a world hungry for hope, for justice, for peace, for home. And so we commission these gifts to your service in the world. Amen. A few weeks ago, we dedicated communion in memory of the life of Jay Holland, and I asked you to be in prayers for his partner, Vern. And today we dedicate communion to Vern. Just a few weeks later, after Jay's death, Vern died. And so we celebrate both Jay and Vern and their relationship, and we dedicate communion today, celebrating Vern's life. I think that Jesus must have had his heart broken the day that those survey results were released. To hear that young people, when they think of the movement he began, think of anti-gay, think of judgmental, think of boring, think of irrelevant. What have we done? What have we done? May from this place other words be spoken. Open communion. Everyone welcome. No membership required. May we begin to change the dialogue. God is with you.
Also with you.
Lift up your hearts.
We lift them up to God.
Let us give thanks to our God.
It is right to give thanks and praise.
It is a right and good and joyful thing always and everywhere to give thanks to you, loving God, creator of heaven and earth. Therefore we praise you, joining our voices with all the company of heaven, who forever sing to proclaim the glory of your name. The night you were betrayed, you took the bread. After giving thanks, you broke it and said, "This is my body, broken for you. And as you do this, remember me."
Giving thanks, you lifted it up. This is my life, poured out for you. And as you do this, remember me. This is my life, poured out for you.
We thank you for the cup and for the bread, for we see the love you gave and the life you led, and we remember your wondrous love. You gave your body, you showed your love. And we remember your wondrous love. You gave your body, you showed your love.
Let us now proclaim the mystery of our faith. Christ has died. Christ is risen. Christ will come again.
These are the gifts of God, and we are the people of God. All are welcome to come and receive. over time, but I just want you to bear with me for just a minute. This week I met with a pastor of a major church in one of the other denominations. And he met with me to say, Brent, I'm concerned about the future of the Christian church, and we're looking to you, and we're looking to MCC to lead us. I don't know what that means. I do know that this is a moment in the life of this congregation that gives us opportunities to witness to who we are, not just to friends and relatives and others who might come to visit us, and not just to folks huddled around computers today around the world. The Christian church is looking to MCC Toronto for leadership. The irony of that and the urgency of that. Please be at prayer over the next few weeks. But what does this all mean for us? For such a time as this. May God bless you and keep you. May God's face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. And may God grant you peace. In your going out and in your coming in. In your lying down and in your rising up. In your labor, in your leisure, in your laughter, and in your tears. Until that day in which there is no dawning and no sunset, no death and no disease. Go now rejoicing that God loves you. Amen. Some of our music folks and staff and others have prepared some munchies in the social hall for a homecoming reception, so please join us. Also in the corner, there are a lot of items that are available as a silent auction. Now, a silent auction only works, because it's silent, if you go over and sign on the sheets. So there's lots of good deals in there, and it's a way to support your church. So just take a minute and look at the items in there in the silent auction. The slide tells you other events that are happening in the social hall. And again, come back next week. Give the gift of MCC Toronto to a friend. Go now and practice radical hospitality. Amen. Let's join together and sing our closing song.